For another edition now, edition that's with an E, of Give and Go with some of the stars of NBA today, including Shanae Ogwumike. Shanae! The Chicago Bulls. Welcome, Shanae. Always great to see you. The Chicago Bulls sit atop the Eastern Conference at 6-1. Not a surprise to me at this point, Shanae. Chicago faithful.
Very happy that you have two Nigerians on the show today, Max. The reason why they sit atop is because they're top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. They've got great vets in their prime that are very productive, and they have bench that is overperforming. Nearly all bench players last night were in the plus minus. So things are looking really good in Chicago.
Yeah, well, speaking of the Bulls, they handled the Celtics last night, 128-114. Celtics' third straight loss, Shanae. But the real story is what Marcus Smart said about superstar teammates Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown after the game. Listen.
I would just like to play basketball. You know, every team knows we're trying to go to Jason and Jaylen. And every team is programmed and studied to stop Jason and Jaylen. And I think everybody's scouting report is make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball. And that's something that they're going to learn.
Shanae, what goes through your mind when you hear Marcus Smart speak so openly about his stars' shortcomings?
You've got to see through the smoke screen, all right? Everyone wants to focus, especially right now in the modern NBA, on the offense. Yes, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're a dynamic duo, and they need to be great for this team to be effective. But the real story is the defense. The Celtics right now are 27th in defensive rating. That's abhorrent. That's horrible. That's not normal Celtics basketball. So while we focus on the offense and maybe like the subliminal shade, the defense will win you games, especially early on in the season. We're seeing that with the Bulls and a number of teams that have made their mark.
Yeah, but they'd have to overcome an offense that's not moving the ball, right? This is the same thing with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum last year. They don't move the ball. I think Marcus Smart has a point, Shanae.
And I will say this, though. Only 11 points in the fourth quarter. When you miss so many shots, you don't give your defense a chance to set up. So you have to lock in and make your shots, but also credit, the Chicago Bulls for doing their thing.
Early in the Blazers' 113-103 loss to the 76ers, Damian Lillard was at the free throw line and heard some pretty interesting chants from the crowd. Check it out.
Chance going up here at the center.
Shanae, look, obviously every team would love to have Damian Lillard, but how much of that is really not wanting Ben Simmons anymore?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? But the reality is you're right. Like Damian Lillard, a lot of people have been talking about would he leave Portland, and this guy, I've known him for a while. He is as loyal to the soil as possible. I think the interesting point that a lot of people are talking about is, even though Dame has had a slower shooting year, people need to put that into perspective. This man for 9 years has put the whole team on his back. I mean, and another fun nugget is that, he runs the most miles since 2013 in the NBA as possible. And I think the fans in Philly understand his value when a lot of people have been saying, because he had a great soundbite after the game. Oh, how are you feeling through your struggles and all those things? So I think it's a combination of people finally respecting the fans in Philly, true basketball fans, his actual talent, and a lot of people also having different narratives for him as well.
Okay, Shanae, I've brought this up before, for several months now on various shows. Why do the winner of a trade in the NBA history is the team that gets the best player in the deal, right? So why not expand the trade if you're the Sixers? Here's Ben Simmons, here's Maxey, here's Thibault, here's a first-round pick. I want Lillard. I'll figure out the details later. I'll have Embiid and Lillard, and I'll figure out the details. What about that? What do you think?
Okay, Max, now we're having some fun. Now it's getting a little saucy, and I think that's exactly what you have to do. At some point, Joel Embiid, his health has been an issue, and I love that he's been able to minimize the games he's missed year in and year out and also become more likely an MVP candidate. But the reality here is that you need to maximize on Joel Embiid's prime right now. Last year, what was he giving us? 26 points per game and about 13 rebounds and blocks and even upping his assists. I would double down on what you can make possible right now with Joel Embiid, which means, yes, more people are potentially on the trading block. So I guess we'll just say this. You're right, Max. I would be a little bit more open-minded because the last thing you want is a disgruntled superstar that's affecting team morale.
And by the way, we showed a graphic where this is what Portland gets. I don't mean necessarily you don't have to get a third team in the deal. I mean, is this enough stuff? You put it on the scale. Does it weigh enough? Thibault, Maxey, a first-round pick, and Simmons to get Damian Lillard, one way or another, even if you have to bring in additional
I'm not mad
teams.
at it. I'm not mad at your trade,
That's
Max.
music to my ears. Look at this. I love when my cockamamie schemes are actually backed up by people who know what they're talking about.
Now these comments from Marcus Smart.
I would just like to play basketball. Every team knows we're trying to go to Jason and Jalen. And every team is programmed and studied to stop Jason and Jalen. And I think everybody's scouting report is make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball. And that's something that they're going to learn.
Big Perk, you want to chip in Boston. Let's just air it all out, why don't you? Are you worried about the Celtics?
Yeah, I am. And Marcus Smart has lost his damn mind. It's certain things that as a player that you can't come out and do in the interview or come out and say in the interview. And those are one of the things. You cannot attack your two franchise guys in the media saying that they need to pass the ball. Not only are you attacking them, you're attacking the first-year head coach in Ime Udoka, who's just starting to get his feet into the sand a little bit and trying to figure things out. You don't need outside distractions. You don't need turmoil inside the locker room. It's a reason why they didn't let Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown speak after the game last night, because they went up after Marcus Smart. And here it is. I hear Marcus Smart going up there talking about, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum need to pass the ball. He should be talking about defense. Because you know what? DeMar DeRozan had 37 last night on 75% shooting. You know what, Stephen A. and Swagoo and Molly? I played with a lot of Hall of Famers. I played with some great players. And in the fourth quarter, we had a rule on the team. We go to the guys that get paid the big bucks. Y'all take us home. And on the Celtics, that's Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Period. Well, I don't care if they go 0 for 20. Period. And you don't break the locker room code by calling them guys out in the public.
Perk, theoretically, I get you. I totally agree with you. But Marcus Smart has never done this before. And he's been their teammates for years. So I get what you're saying. And on the surface, I think you're absolutely right. And that's why I wanted Molly to go to you first, because I know you know this stuff inside out in Boston, and you were calling games with them last year. They were interviewing you pregame, postgame, if I remember correctly, last year, okay? What I'm saying to you is this. What he said about Jalen and Jason, two guys I love, and they should be shooting the damn ball. And I'm looking at things numbers-wise, and I don't see anything egregious. Jason Tatum is averaging, what is it, about 24 shots a game. Jalen's at 20. Okay, and then you got a couple of cats that's averaging 11 and 12 and shooting at Horford and guys like that. But what I'm saying to you is this. I've heard people throughout the years have complaints about those two. I don't, you don't, but we've heard things internally and we wondered whether or not Brad Stevens was going to handle it. Does it not strike you, or should it not strike us as a little bit odd that Marcus Smart, who's been their teammate for years, would suddenly do something he's never really done? And that's come out and called them out like that. That's the only thing that has my antennas up. That's not something he does. So why would he do it now? That, to me, is the big question. Go ahead, Swaggle.
Well, here's what I'll say, because I'm in line with you. I got to disagree with my brother Perk on this one, S.A., and me and Perk actually on our podcast talked yesterday about Udonis Haslem. When he say something, it's a different vibe. And Marcus Smart is really the heartbeat to me of the Celtics. When you start thinking about just grimy and him carrying on actually what y'all had going in Boston, Perk. So to Stephen A's point, Marcus Smart knows the game. I'm talking about the game and what you speak after a game, the things that you say. That was a pointed statement that he was making, and I think it's in order to push Jason Tatum and obviously move Jaylen Brown into being better basketball players. I don't think this is about ball hogging. I think this is about how can the Boston Celtics be a better basketball team. Now, it could be misconstrued from those guys. They could take it personal. They could think that it's a shot from Marcus Smart personally at them as basketball players. I got the tone of, hey, y'all, we way better than what we should be right now. I mean, we way better than what we showing to be, and this is a part that we gonna have to get better at in order to be a better basketball team.
Let's leave it right there so I can be a good hype woman. So we've got Swagoo and Perk, the new podcast, fresh episodes every Tuesday. My guys, I love it. I love that you guys have joined forces. Wait, I'm not done.
Okay.
Then we've got NBA Today at 3 Eastern. Big Perk will be on that. Then NFL Live, 4 Eastern. And then you're going to be on NBA Countdown tomorrow.
Let's go.
Let me say this to you. Can I say something real quick? Swagoo and Perk.
Yeah.
I love them having a podcast together. It's must listen to, it's must see. But I got a problem with the name. Swagoo and Perk, everybody know who y'all are. How about Huff and Puff? How about Huff and Puff? How about that? How about Huff and Puff podcast? How about that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody knows Swagoo and Perk.
As soon as you do a damn hair loss commercial, we'll change the damn name of the podcast.
Hey, check this out. Check this out,
Marcus. You going smoke?
Marcus, they pay me enough. I will do it. I'll do it. Ain't no problem. I ain't got no shame.
You need to be.
I'm in my 50s. I'm good.
Okay.
Perk, he hating.
Huff and Puff podcast.